Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I have been watching Sandman, Netflix adaptation of Sandman. I started on Friday, got one episode in. For me, Friday is around 7-ish. The Sabbath starts, which is when I'm offline, so I had to stop then. Although I'm not a big binge watcher, I am binge watching this. Well, as much as I get through today. For a somewhat weird reason, today is it's Sunday. I'm recording Sunday, August 7th. It's a fast day in Judaism. Well, what does that mean? Well, this is a really severe one, right? A really, really super severe one. This commemorates the destruction of the Jewish temple. Actually, there was two of them. both went down on the same day, just a few hundred years in between them. Of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. And the reason this is such a again 2,000 years ago, right? It wasn't last week. In fact, fun fact: Napoleon Bonaparte quite liked Jews because at some point he saw all the Jews sitting on the ground and crying, which is what you do on this day, right? On this fast day, you have these Book of Lamentations that you read. It's really heavy and really depressing. Yeah, that's basically the way it goes. And he said, well, what are you guys crying about? And he said, well, because our temple was destroyed. So when did that happen? Oy vey. He didn't say oy vey. He said, mon Dieu. When did that happen? And we said 2,000 years ago. It's like, wow, that's quite impressive. So anyway, he liked the Jews because of that. Apparently, that might be completely apocryphal. But the point is this. To this fast day, the real reason you fast is because we believe it initiated this 2,000-year dark ages of like pure evil, where we're all totally disconnected and want to kill each other. It's not really the ideal world, right? So that's really why we fast. We introspect. Like, what? I'll go one step further. The reason this all happened is because we're not nice to each other, right? So we introspect about how to be better, but more we try and like grapple with this huge, terrible thing that's gone down. So normally I sit and watch like Holocaust stuff or like a good 9-hour Holocaust documentary is what you normally watch. Like, however, today's a little bit different because this is actually a day after the Memorial Day, but we push it off a day when it falls on Sabbath. Oh God, this is so complicated. But the point is this: so I'm watching Sandman instead of like the Rise of the Third Reich or whatever I would normally would be watching. And again, I'm not a big binge watcher at all. I really am not. I really feel that you lose the individuality of each episode, and there's a lot to go on there. So, but again, I'm trying to make the day go by. That's basically what it is. That's why I'm recording this video. But anyway, so I was going to do a full season review, but there's so much going on, and Sandman is like a real core bit of my soul here. That it will just not right. It's an injustice. So I'm stopping here after 3 episodes. Maybe I'll stop after another 2 or 3 episodes and do another. I think it's kind of broken up that way. Before we get into the review, like, share, subscribe, comment. All those things are very, very, very good. Thank you very much. I am very grateful for everybody out there doing that. I genuinely am. Signing up my Substacks. If you like comic books, I put out comic books on my Substack. I put out my own comic books on my pay Substack. Yeah, actually, this is actually an organic segue, which I just thought of 3 very rude jokes I could do about that, but I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm not doing it. I also have a paid Substack. It's my email newsletter. If ever I'm banned from YouTube, which I can't believe hasn't happened more often, but when it does, you'll be able to find me through my my Substack. So sign up for it. It's free. And I give out a bunch of vintage comic books on that, Doctor Who stuff. Stuff that's out of print. I don't want to rip off anybody if something's in print. But also I have a paid Substack, and I'm serializing this, which is really, I just realized at the time, it's really very influenced by not just Sandman, that era of comic books. So that era of comic books was my era, right? I bought Sandman in the first run. I think I've probably got the original issue somewhere. So I was there at that comic book revolution. I feel like I'm. Have you ever seen Babylon 5? Right? They did what was it? They had a voiceover, I think, for the pilot. I was there at the dawn of the third age of man. So that's what it feels like. I was really there, right? I was really there. So I feel I know this work very well, and I like it a lot, right? I think it's something that's important to me. So how do I feel about this Netflix adaptation? Well, in many ways, it's beautiful. It's perfect. And right now I'm leaning towards recommend, right? It's really, 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 very, very good. Neil Gaiman has said, I spent decades trying to avoid shitty adaptations of Sandman being made, and I think, yeah, he has indeed succeeded. There's one drawback. There's one big noticeable drawback, that Neil Gaiman is very, very, very involved, and Neil Gaiman he's a bit of a lefty-lovey, as most people are in the artsy world. He's in the literary world. I think he's quite an important figure in the literary world, and sadly, those worlds are just an insanity has infected them, and I really believe that. Yeah, an insanity has infected them, where people believe, even though they were never racist or sexist themselves, right, or generally speaking, witness racism or sexism, right, they feel that everything they have is built on racism and sexism, and so they need to fundamentally alter themselves and their works to rebel against that. The only problem is, I don't think the Western world in 2020 or 2015 or 2010 was racist or sexist. I don't think we were racist or sexist when Barack Obama became president. I just don't think it was a thing. What I think happened, this is my own personal theory, your politics, your worldview may massively differ from mine. God bless you, mate, right? It's good that we can have our differences. What I think happened is Donald Trump happened and Brexit happened, which was a massive repudiation of lefty-lovey, artsy world thinking. They people very much want to believe that Obama was a great president. He really wasn't, right? He really wasn't. But anyway, Trump happened, and again, a repudiation of everything, and I think it pushed him into insanity, right? They pushed him absolute insanity. How they're faring now, we're seeing, like, a very bad presidency under Obama, followed by an incredibly and I'm not pushing my politics, mate. I'm just talking numbers, right? An incredibly successful presidency under Trump, where we had world peace and a booming economy. That was good, compared to probably the one of the. I think this is the worst I've ever seen in the world, and I've been around 51 years now. I've seen this under Obama. I think it's directly connected to all of them, really. So, but I think that's what happened. I pushed them into insanity, which made him feel like he was a bit racist or sexist by not having more black women, or black people, or women, or gay people. But there were plenty of them in Sandman, right? There really was absolutely plenty of them in the Sandman. So going through it, we have real jarringly, I would say, poor creative decisions. I wouldn't say poor creators. It creative decisions driven by insanity, marring this otherwise absolutely beautiful, perfect adaptation. Just go a quick word about the one recurring star is Tom Sturridge. I don't think I've ever seen him in anything else. Perfect. Listen, this doesn't seem like a hard role to cast to me. It's like a big, tall, pale bloke in a long, billowy jacket, right? I mean, it doesn't seem that you're going to have a lot of trouble finding somebody to fill the role. He does it perfectly, right? He does it absolutely exactly as I imagine the character, and a lot of this is realized just beautifully, absolutely beautifully. The opening scenes in the first episode, called "Sleep of the Just," which. Very, very, very faithful recreation of that initial comic book. Reasonably faithful. I won't say very faithful. Very faithful is the third one, which I just watched. You have these opening scenes with just beautiful, absolutely beautiful, of Dream's realm, and you get a little glimpse of Jack Pumpkinhead. I think he's going to be in it more, and just the incredible realization, which I think you can only do with today's technology. It just came out absolutely perfectly. Also perfect was the casting of Charles Dance as the major antagonist of the first episode. So the first issue of Sandman as well, revolved around a Aleister Crowley-esque magician who nefarious means. This time through Bill Patterson. I love seeing Bill Patterson in everything. He's really he's a bit of a throwaway cameo in this. Acquires this grimoire to capture death. But he doesn't capture death. He captures Dream, Morpheus, and you get to learn a little bit about Dream's family: Dream, death, delirium, desire. They name check all of them. And again, perfect reconstruction. Interesting enough, the initial artist was Dan Dreiberg, I think. Was it Dan Dreiberg? I think so. I can't remember. But it wasn't really right. It didn't really gel, and he was like very unceremoniously replaced halfway through issue 4, I think. With a much better artist. Better. With a much more with the artistic style that we became identified with this. So they recreate panels perfectly, absolutely perfectly, but at the same time they make it quite a bit better. So the basic story is they imprison Dream. And they want the rationale is somewhat different. And what I do going into an adaptation is try and watch it for its own sake, right? I try and watch it as its own thing, because things do change. See, when somebody writes something in say 1930, right? There are sociological influences and that you would read, and it gives you an impression. Whereas 100 years later or 90 years later, that's not the case. So I see the need for adaptation to convey the author's same message in a different age, right? I'm fine with that. Absolutely fine with that. So the adaptation of this is somewhat mild. So but all my favourite bits of that issue are missed out. It's always the way with adaptations. So you go, oh, I wanted to see that, and you don't, right? You don't. There's a lot more put into Dream's relationship with his Raven. Not Jessup. I can't remember the name. And it get beautifully written, right? It's really kind of heartbreaking. A lot of it, seeing his incarceration, beautifully realized in a globe in a glass globe. I thought it should have been a crystal globe. A glass globe seemed a little bit. He should have been able to break out of that probably. But generally, the production design is fantastic. His helm, his clothes, everything looks like it's pulled directly out the comic book. So the story is essentially he's incarcerated. In the original comic, he's incarcerated for like 60, 70 years. Now it's a good 30 years later. So it's, over 100 years he's incarcerated in this globe. There's one scene which I really wanted. They showed the transition of time where the person who incarcerated him is not Charles Dance. Charles Dance in the comic ends up killing himself in front of Dream. It's a bit of a throwaway one page thing, but here he's killed accidentally, and I feel it's a little. It's not as strong as a comic, right? I don't understand the need for that change. And then his son, his hated son. I haven't read the comics for years. He has a son he had a son who has been killed, and one more son who was alive who he hated. What's his name? Roderick in this? Well, I just got to look it up. No, Roderick Burgess is the Aleister Crowley-like figure played by Charles Dance. Again, perfect casting. Perfectly played, right? Perfect casting, perfectly played. I'm whizzing through this, trying to find the name. You know what? Who cares? His son takes over. His son acquires himself a gay lover. I can't remember if they had that in the comic as well. It's not out of place. It doesn't feel shoehorned in, right? It doesn't feel like shoehorned in representation. I say that because there is somewhat a shoehorned in representation in this, which is I think mars something that should be perfect. Sadly. Anyway, so his son becomes his captor, and the deal is basically just don't take revenge on me. Right, don't take revenge, and I want to live forever. Maybe I can't. I've only just watched it. I can't even remember. But they mark the passage of time in the comic by you see him from Dream's point of view, his captor raging at him, trying to get him to give to agree to the deal. And you see the styles changing. In one panel, it's like very much the 1950s. In another panel, it's the 1960s. Now one, it's 1970s. And you see the hair change. I liked all that, right? I liked all that. Not in this one. Not in this one. At one, basically, it's a time jump, and all of a sudden, he's old, right? Eventually, Dream finds a way of breaking out again. Perfectly realized that it's better than in the comic book. In the comic book, you have a guard fall asleep, and he breaks out through that dream. Yeah, exactly like that. Absolutely exactly like that. So he breaks out and he makes it back to his realm, his kingdom of dream, which is now completely decimated. And it's heartbreaking because that's why you see it at the beginning. You see it at its height, at its beauty, and in all its glory, which is yet again absolutely fantastic. Now going through this is the season big bad, the Corinthian. Now who plays him? Because whoever plays him, Boyd Holbrook. I've seen him in a few other things. Absolutely perfect. Again, has that menace, has the charm. Really knocks it out of the park. I think the thing that really hurts this first episode, and much more the second episode, is Vivian Archibong. Archibong plays Lucian, the librarian. Now she's a bald black woman with pointy ears in this. So here's the problem, right? This is so easily misconstrued by going, oh no, it's a black person on screen. No, it's not, right? Honestly, I think Lawrence Fishburne playing Perry White, great casting, right? Really, genuinely great casting. I know other people, people are purists. People like to say, I don't want this to change at all. I'm not in that camp, right? I'm really not in that camp. However, the age we live in today wants to say that men and women are interchangeable, and they're not. Not to say one is superior and one is inferior, but they are qualitatively different. So when you do gender swap a character, then you have to have an actor of the caliber that can play against their own genetic imperatives, right? You have to have an actor who can play this somewhat, I would say, the somewhat quiet, masculine, gay role, right? That's how I would describe it. And she really can't, which is a shame. And it's no diss on her. I'm not like putting her down. I'm sure she's a fine actress, fine person, but she's not extraordinary, which is what you really need. If you have an extraordinary actor, they can do these gender swaps, and she's such a pivotal role in these first couple of episodes. It really detracts it. So again, when I watch these things, I try and watch them as the thing presented, not as a representation of the thing I know, right? And generally speaking, I'm on board for that. I very much enjoyed the when was it, the 2020 adaptation of Brave New World, which was very different from the novel in many ways, but I feel it really expressed a lot of those ideas and contemporized them in a very successful way, right? So this isn't that. This doesn't do that at all, I'm afraid. Vivian just I don't believe her in the role, and that's the problem. So I try and look at this as its own thing. Would I have problems with the authenticity of her performance without knowing the source material? And I believe so, right? I believe so. So the second episode, again, very much follows the second issue of Sandman. He's returned home. He's basically powerless. He's nearly dead. And he needs to restore some of his power. Then we meet Cain and Abel. Also race swap, but this is fine, right? Again, the actors playing them really, I felt, brought it, in a big way. Cain normally they changed the look of Cain. They both kind of like fat, dumpy guys now, right? They're like, fat, dumpy, somewhat darker skin looking guys now. But that's kind of fine. But Cain used to be like a kind of thinner with a spikier beard. But in general, I think both these actors do an excellent job, especially Abel, right? It really, really sells it. Again, heartbreaking. A lot of this stuff is absolutely heartbreaking. There's a gargoyle that's kind of like their dog, and I have pets. I have a dog. I love my dog, right? And it involves the sacrifice of this pet. And that can be. I actually cried. Okay, I actually cried because I can't imagine having to go through that, right? With I thought with my dog, with my cat, whatever, which is stupid. But that's the point of it, right? That's the point, and they sell it really well. Going all the way through this, unfortunately, again, Vivian. I'm not even going to pronounce her name, which doesn't really work. So. In this episode, we're also introduced to John Dee, played by the fantastically cast and fantastic actor David let me see if I can find his name. David Thewis, it's down here somewhere. John Dee. I'm looking through a list of the cast. Where is he? I literally just saw it. Sanjeev Bhattachar's playing Kane. They don't have who's playing Abel though. Which is weird. Why wouldn't you list that? That's very, very odd. Still can't find it. I'm going to give up. Look on the titles, okay? He's great. He is fantastic. And you get a little bit more about the backstory of Edith Cripps, the person who inveigled herself into Charles Dance's, Roderick Burgess's occult family. And David... I can't keep saying his name bloody wrong. Became a supervillain, Dr. D, using one of Dream's tools that he lost. Which basically forms the arc of the first story arc, where he's going around getting all these things back, trying to find out. So he has to find out where his tools are. So he calls the what's it called again? The assistants. What was his name again? I can't remember. They called like the three fates. That's it. The three fates, which is essentially one woman who's three women. You have a young one, a middle-aged one, and an old one. And again, God, they could all be black, but if they're the same, or they could all be white, or they could all be Asian. But when you make the young one black and the other two white, it's showing your discomfort, right? Your discomfort with race relations in the modern world. And again, I don't think England or America are racist. Oh, the Western world is racist. I just do not. And I understand people go, but what about Brexit? But what about it's a delusion fed into you in my opinion, right? So he finds out where his tools are. His bag of sand, a special Sandman sand, where he gets his name from, is being held by not John Constantine, Joanna Constantine, who we're going to talk about in a minute in the next but when we go to the next episode. The helm is again. I hope. I hope we get merchandising of a life-size Sandman helm because it's so freaking good. It's just so freaking good. Is in hell, and the ruby is ruby that was taken by Edith Cripps and now has been taken by the son, which is why we're talking about this. Who's now in a maximum security prison somewhere. In America, Edith Cripps has stayed alive by having this magic amulet that she exchanged the helm for, right? The helm and the saddle, I can't remember. But yeah, so that basically episode's the shortest one. Ends up perfectly recreated the comic when Kate and Abel get an egg, a new gargoyle egg, and a cute little baby gargoyle comes out, and it's gorgeous, right? It is absolutely gorgeous as it's supposed to be. Absolutely loving it. So the third episode, he's Dreamer, little Dreamer me. Dream goes to get his first of his tools. He thinks, the easiest one. I'll go against. I'll pick this up from the a human, Constantine. Nothing. It's better than going up against the hordes of hell for his helm. So I'm going to go after Constantine. Now Constantine, gender swapped, played by Jenna Coleman. this really works, right? I went into it thinking I would hate it. Now, the reason this really works is Jenna Coleman is a superior actress. I mean, she's just very, very talented, and she develops a character that's not a hand-me-down, a poor echo of the comic book version, which I feel Lucian is, but develops an entirely new character with all the same traits of Constantine, I'm engaged. I'm turned on. I think this is really, really working. So yeah, for me, that's what this show is, right? It's that mess. It's the absolute mess of fantastic adaptation and white liberal guilt, right? It's an absolute mishmash. Speaking of which, I should mention in the first episode when Dream is captured by Charles Dance, by was it Roderick Burgess, this sleeping sickness starts, and one person who is infected by it is it's like an upper middle class family in 1913 England who's black for some reason. And yes, I'm sure there may have been one or two upper middle class families in the turn of the century London who were black. I think it's very, very unusual. I mean, they had a black soldier, black redcoat soldier in an episode of Doctor Who. And yes, there was one black redcoat soldier, right, in the 1890s. One out of like a gazillion, right? So it just feels silly. And something that really annoyed me is, this happened worldwide, and as I recall in the comic, there were people in Africa affected by it. The story went to. Why not just go to there? Use them as a story, but instead of really, in a very silly way, race swapping a character which makes no sense whatsoever, right? However, here with Constantine, Jenna Coleman, really, really good, and I'll be all up for a spin-off with her, because I just think she did an absolutely great job. So they go on the hunt to get the sand. It follows pretty much the comic book as well. Although in the comic book, when they do find the person who's got the sand, there's all this like globally bits of human bodies turned into like mouths eating off the walls and things like that. They cut that out, which I'm afraid. Although we do have the scene with John Dee breaking out prison with a splattering people, making in a very, very similar visual look. So maybe they couldn't put too many on that issue. Sandman is reluctantly joined by a raven played by what's he called again? Who always irritates me whenever I see him in anything. Always freaking irritates me. Patton Oswalt, right? Patton Oswalt again. One of these lefty lovers who need to screen their politics, which is essentially, I hate anybody who's not like me. And I'm just sick of hearing about it. So I wasn't thrilled to hear that guy's voice at all. It wasn't like yay. And for me, it did. David Fellis. Okay, that's I first had to say David Fellis. So now at the end of the episode, he gets his sand. He gets his and he's about to head off into hell. Gwendolyn Christie is playing Lucifer. I think she's going to be fantastic. I am bracing for impact for episode, was it 5 or 6, where we meet with Death, who's now Death was very, very played by a very white goth-looking girl, now played by a black woman. Listen, as I heard of Gwendolyn Christie, I heard of Jenna Coleman. I've heard of them because they're very, very good at their jobs. I never heard, and maybe she's been in tons of stuff, but I never heard of Vivian Archiampong before, or who I can't remember the name of the woman playing Death. Do I see her name anywhere? The Three Fates. Just looking up, just found the name there. Who is it playing? Okay, the fact I can't find her bloody name or remember it, right, is an indication, right? Is an indication. If this actress is fantastic, this is the first thing she's going to be fantastic in. I just don't think she can do it, really, but I'm bracing for impact with that because I just feel it's going to be an expression of Neil Gaiman's existential angst, which, okay, listen, everyone's a human being, everyone's entitled to existential angst, I guess. It's just, like, this is going to be forever, and it's marring what would otherwise been an absolute classic, right? But generally speaking, so if you take the fantasticness, and then there's a lot of it there, the fantasticness of the of a lot of it of the adaptation. So that would get. If it just kept everything to that, I would have given it a 10 out of 10, and then detract from with being marred by the identity politics. That's the identity politics that's bringing about a certain insanity of the day. So then you get something like a 7 out of 10, right? That's basically how I would this is how I would grade this. So anyway, I'm off to watch episodes 4, 5, and 6, which I believe finishes up the initial story arc. If you get the first trade paperback, it's that, right? And then I think the rest of the season is doing a Dollhouse, which again, fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. How much will I get through today? I don't know. I may fall asleep. It's time for the afternoon service in about 25 minutes. So I'll go for that. Normally after that, I tend to start to crash. However long I stay awake is as long as I binge. That's my plan. However long I stay awake is as long as I binge. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.